Hello and welcome to The View from Felaban. I'm Silvia Pavoni, Economics Editor of The Banker, and I'm talking to Ignacio Blanco, who is the head of Latin America and the Caribbean for SWIFT. Thank you for joining me, Ignacio.
Thanks for having me.
So one of the conversations that I'm sure you're having, and I know that I'm having with a lot of people here at Felaban, is around cyber.
Yeah.
I know that your own research and anecdotal evidence talking to your members reveals that the intensity of attacks from last year matches the one of this year.
Yeah.
So where are we in terms of banks, Latin American banks' ability to defend themselves from these attacks? Are things going to improve, or are we at a sort of dangerous plateau?
Yeah, I think so. It's true. The level of activity that we're seeing this year is very in line with what we saw last year in terms of attacks. I think the attacks are evolving a little bit. But we see a lot of work from our customers to protect themselves. We have our security program, our customer security program, that has been in place for the last 3 years. This year, what we've seen is that customers are working on those programs earlier in the year, so they have a conscience of an ongoing progress and working towards securing their infrastructure. But we also have some tools that will help them to not only secure the infrastructure, but detect if there's something that happens within their environment. So it is still top of mind, and we're working very closely with them to make sure that we elevate that standard of security for the ecosystem, but also to be able to detect and react to any attacks that they could happen, even if they're securing the infrastructure. Right?
So you clearly want them to be as safe as possible, because then they latch onto your network, and you want the integrity of the network to remain safe, of course.
Yeah.
So that's one big worry for everyone, really, in banking, in the region and the world, of course. Another concern, looking specifically at Latin America, is perhaps geopolitical risk.
Right.
So we have elections in Argentina. We've had elections in Argentina and a change of governments later on this year, before the end of the year in December. And we're still having civil unrest in Chile.
Yeah.
Plus a number of other elections that have taken place this year, Uruguay again going to the polls. Where are we in terms of political risk, and how is that impacting banks' activity?
Yeah, and unfortunately, we are used to these cycles and crises. So we know how to navigate these times, but at the same time, Latin America is a region that needs 5 or 6 countries all to work together and always in the same direction, and that's what's not happening for the last few years. You have Brazil that is doing well at that point, but Argentina not great. Then the opposite. We think that we're going to have to see how this plays out. How open these new governments are in terms of opening the market.
And I'm sure you're thinking about Argentina in particular.
Yeah,
so
Argentina in particular with the new government.
Went back to power.
Right. So we'll see how that plays out. What we do know is that, again, we are kind of used to this situation, so we should be able to navigate those, help our customers, deal with the situation that they have to deal with in terms of growth, aspirations, and limitations maybe. But it's something that in the next few months we'll see how the future looks for the region.
Okay, so banking, despite all of these concerns in Latin America, particularly in some countries, remain a pretty much profitable, highly profitable business, with maybe also a level of low competitiveness. So it's not a particularly competitive market. Would you agree with this?
Yeah.
Do you think this will continue? And are threats to banking going to come from outside of the traditional banking? And so thinking about fintechs, but also thinking about other providers such as Visa and MasterCard, who are ramping up their potential offering in terms of cross-border payments.
Yeah, I think that Latin America is a very dynamic region. We have some markets that are more forward-thinking maybe, and they're working more on new solutions. We do see a lot of activity around fintech in the region. What we're seeing a lot is collaboration between banks and fintech, right? But we do see also some providers that are trying to get into the B2B cross-border space, right? And that's where the banks are looking at, SWIFT to help them navigate that challenge. We see our platform as being a global platform with 11,000 connections across the globe. That is a platform that it's open for banks to collaborate with fintech, provides better solutions to their customers. We don't believe in advancing cross-border payments in closed environments. So we believe in an open platform which has more reach. So we're helping our customers to deal with those situations and understanding what are some of the areas that they need to invest in to make sure that they're ahead of the curve.
So is it a work that you're doing predominantly with banks, or are you also talking to governments so that they establish an environment in which, innovation is?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of governments, regulators that are setting up working groups, innovation forums, and we are participating in some of those. But we do actually, provide a good platform for our banks to take advantage of it and say, I can use Swift's API structure and platform to collaborate with fintechs, get those type of services that I don't have today and offer those to my customers, right? So that's the facilitation that we give.
Very well. All right. Thank you for your comments, Ignacio.
Thank you.